So hi there, I have been slowing this build down because I have been waiting so long for this. This is I will admit, a very expensive addition to the Lancaster, but before we have a look at this, let's have a look at what they're up to in Hachette land. Okay, so what we have here is a navigator accessories. We've got 8 pieces. It's all a push fit connection. It's going to make a nice little sub assembly. Yeah, I'm quite impressed with this. Okay, and according to the magazine, this is what it should look like when it's constructed. And this is what it actually looks like when it's done. And I'm going to use the word handsome today. It's a handsome little piece. Nice little sub assembly. Yeah, I'm quite impressed with this. Really nice little issue to this week. Let's see what I can compare it with. Okay guys, so this is the Avro Lancaster Lights, Engine and Authentic Sound by Magic Scale Modelling. It's for the 1:32 scale, and in this box it is an absolute box of magic. Now I'm going to be doing an unboxing, and I am going to be brutally honest. Everything that I'm going to say about it is the truth. It includes my experience with the company, but I think I will be fair. But before I unbox it, I wish to show you from their YouTube exactly what it's going to do. Okay, so don't you think that looked absolutely amazing? When I saw that, I thought I could make that, and I probably could, and I could probably make it for £100 plus many hours of working. When I looked at the total price, I thought, do you know what? They've done a lot of work for me. I might as well buy it. I did speak to the company. Well, I emailed them. And I said, one of the questions I asked is, what's the turnaround time? And he said about a week. In reality, it took a lot longer. It took many months. This is why I've been doing videos to slow the build down. Now, one criticism I have of the company, well, let's start with the good bit. I did email him and I said, look, I'm getting a bit fed up with this wait. And he's told me that they couldn't get the motors in stock. For the supplier were having problems. They've got some different motors, and would I like those instead, or would I like to wait longer? And I said, look, if it works fine, I'm absolutely fine with whatever motors work. A couple of weeks later, here it is. So my first criticism of Magic Scale modelling is I have found their communication less than adequate. I ordered from them. It took many weeks until they even changed the order to processing. This is after an email to say, look, you know, it's not saying processing or anything. And then as soon as I emailed them, suddenly it just changed to processing. Then I waited longer and longer. I emailed them to ask for an update. Got zero reply from them. A couple of days later, I emailed them again to say, look, I've not had a reply from the last email. What's the update? Heard nothing from them, and then sent them an email saying, look, I'm really upset with this. I've given you a lot of my money. I actually now at the stage that I don't know if you're a genuine company or not. And he rang me. He rang me, but I couldn't answer because I'm a driver by trade. And he emailed me. I emailed him back. I think I even spoke to him, and things got resolved. The one thing that I'm unhappy with is I don't want to bring politics into my videos, but I'm just going to say I did not vote in favour of us leaving the EU. The UK is no longer in the EU. This came from Belgium. Let me give you a rundown of the costs. So for the basic motors, just the motors, it's the motors and the lights, and you know, obviously you get the engine noises. It's £149. I've also spent an extra £19 for the lights for the instrument panel, which I will be showing you next week. So I don't want to go too much detail in that right now, but that was an extra £19. There's an extra £9 to have the altitude lights, two little lights that go underneath, and obviously, as you know, the beam, once the beam is there, we know we're at the right height. If the beam's there, it's too high, and if the beam goes like that, we're too low. We also have spent an extra £19 on a magnetic power cable, so it hides the cables a little bit more, and instead of having a power plug goes directly into the Lancaster, it actually comes through the wheels, and when the contact is made with the two plates, it's the power is running. If you lift the Lancaster up, it'll cut the power. There's then an additional £17 for shipping, not unreasonable. But then this is the doozy. Let's say it came from Belgium. Because the UK is no longer in the EU, they have stung me for £45.56 on import taxes. That has given us a total cost of £258.56. It has really bumped the cost of the Lancaster up, which obviously I'm not happy about, but I've set a budget of £1,400 for the entire project. £1,400 is the estimated cost of the Hachette build, and we are within that, well within that. I think the total is round about £650. Anyway, this is boring talk. You want to see what I get. So it is complicated. If electronics scare you, you probably want to just switch this video off, wait for next week and watch the next one, and there'll be videos along the way that you won't want to watch. And I will be honest with you, it's going to push my skill level. I'm just going to pull the box away because I want to show you last some of the little things that kind of makes me smile. But it's actually really nice. And the first thing that I like about this is it's extremely well labelled. It is obviously extremely well thought out. So the first thing we get is this battery box. Now this looks very Hachette-esque, the quality of it, but there's no screw in it, which isn't a problem because I've got so many spare little screws. But I'm going to be honest with you, I may actually be chopping this off and connecting this to a power supply, because once you buy it, you get a massive book of instructions and notes. You can pay extra to have the instructions bound in a book, but do you know what, it's really expensive, and I just thought, do you know what, I'll use up my printer ink and paper. Now one thing that they do say is one thing most people may or may not know: a battery doesn't give exactly 1.5 volts. It gives a little bit less, but it's like cars. If you buy a 1.6 litre engine car, you might be getting 1.56. It's quite technical, but it's called a 1.6. Now, if you put normal batteries in this, you will get 6 volts. You get a little bit less than 6 volts. And it tells you all this on the notes, and I'll go through them as I build it, and that's plenty of power to power it. Unfortunately, I use rechargeable batteries. Little bit of advertising there for you. Cheap and cheerful, but they're rechargeable because the number of batteries I go through, it's so much cheaper to use rechargeables. Rechargeables don't put out quite so much power as alkali batteries. Your Duracells are going to be putting out more power than this. Apparently with 4 batteries in, you will just about get the minimum amount of power needed to run all the motors and the lights and everything. But one thing that I would worry about is A, I've got to keep changing the batteries, and B, when these are about half charge, obviously I'm going to run it and play with it, is it going to still be putting out enough power? So I may just rip this apart, get a power supply, get a 6 volt power supply, and then connect these up. But that's something I haven't decided yet. So the first thing that I noticed, which is pretty obvious really when you think about it, these connections are really nice. You'll see there that for the live and the negative, I've got a male and a female connector, so I can't connect this in the wrong way, which is just one of those nice little touches. They could give us two male ports, and that would be perfectly adequate, but they've just gone that extra step ahead. I won't say gone the extra mile, but they've just gone that extra few feet, and they've given you these nice connections. I don't know if these are handmade by Magic Scale Modelling, or if they've been made in China and then shipped over, but they're actually quite nicely done. The next thing I want to show you is this is the circuit board. Now I've not opened these, and I want to open them carefully so that I can reseal them. So we have got some pins there, we've got some pins there, and this is all a little bit confusing until I read the instructions. We have a sticky pad, and there's a 3D printed holder for it. Now that, to me, I'm really out of touch with my electronics, but that looks like an Arduino Nano. I might be totally wrong there. But yeah, there's various pins. There'll be no soldering to do on my part, I don't think. So I need to plug these into wherever they need to go, and that will power up, or maybe that's the power supply. So as you can see, look, male port into the female port, and then that's red to red. A little bit confusing because you've got the black insulation bit, and then black to black. As you can see from the shape of those pins, it's impossible to connect those the wrong way round. So yeah, so then obviously everything we do, we've got various pins. It is clearly written on the instructions which pin is which, so it tells you like that might be 1, 2, 3, 4, however it goes. But obviously we're carefully reading the instructions before we do any installation. So that is the circuit board. The next thing we have got, this is the dashboard and panel boxes. This is the lights, 4 nano lights, 40 centimeters, 2 times Y2 M plus F, connects to 10. So whichever port that is, whatever port 10 is, this is where that goes. I'm going to show you now. All of the lights are exactly the same, so I'm going to show you one light in detail. So we have got these bags look absolutely identical, and you'll see there it's got plugs on the end, and we've got some connectors there. So these are all set up exactly right. These will plug in. You'll see I've got some male ports there, so they will go into the female holes, and I've got a female hole there, so that will accept a male plug. And I'll just show you this one, because like I say, all of the lights are absolutely the same bulb, so I don't need to open packets for every single one, because it is quite literally going to be a case of once you've seen one, you've seen them all. So there on the end, can you see that bulb? There, where my fingernail is, that is the bulb. That is absolutely tiny. Okay, and that has got one male, one female plug. So I'm guessing it's going to go into one of these, maybe? I don't know. I'll have to read the instructions. So there are 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is for the dashboard and the panel boxes. One other idea, I'm toying with the idea, the navigator's light. I'm going to see if I can drill a tiny hole through it and run a fibre optic cable, and then we'll do a little piggyback on here so that I've got the navigator's light being displayed. Next up I've got the so these next 4 bags are all the same. This is the engine and internal cables. So you've got left engine external number 1, left engine internal number 2 engine, right engine internal number 3, and right engine external number 4. So I'll just open the one bag, because obviously they're all going to be the same. So what we have got here, this is the offending motor. This is the motor that's been giving us all those problems. Right, so I have received one motor, one cable. I recognise that as a JST. That's a female JST. And then we've got 2 female, I think they're all called JSTs, but 2 single female leads. We've got the motor, so I'm going to guess the motor's going to plug into there, like so, because that's going to fit quite nicely. we have 2 cables here, so I'm guessing these plug in there and then they go off to wherever they go off. I might be wrong on that. And we have a tiny, this looks like a leg of a that goes on a circuit board, but again, another look at the instructions. I've read the instructions, but to be honest with you, I don't feel the instructions make an awful lot of sense when you don't actually have the parts in front of you. So obviously I'm now going to go through the instructions again at some point, and I will go through them with the parts in front of me, and then that should begin to make a lot more sense. Something else that I want to add, Magic Scale Modelling, they actually offer a 90-day money back, and you can send it back to them within 90 days for any reason whatsoever. So if, say for example, I tried to put these in and I just really can't do it, just, you know, it's just too complicated for me, then I can just send it back and get my money back. I won't get the postage costs back, and I probably won't get the import duties back, but I'll get the vast majority of my money back. Right, so what we've got here is 3D paint printed parts, 4 times tube and prop, battery holder and UV glue. There is no battery holder in there, but there is there. This is power cable. I'll come to that one. Right, so what this is, there are 8 pieces in here, 4 large tubes, 4 small tubes. So I'll try and show you one of each. So what is going to happen is your motor is going to go into this large sleeve, and this is going to be able to place it and space it inside the engine, and this is going to go over the motor shaft, and then the propeller shaft is going to go on the other side. So you're gonna, if you imagine the motor's in there, it's going to look something like that, with the motor in there, the shaft coming through there, and then the propellers on the end there, and that tiny motor is going to rotate that propeller. And I know it seems really hard to imagine that. Right, so next up we've got the power cables. Now this is the magnetic one, so let me have a look at this. I think I'm going to zoom in for this. I think it'll be much easier to zoom in. So we have this power cable, and you see that you've got the wires going in there, and you've got the connector there, and there we go. These are the points of contact. Now I think, but I'm not sure, you bury these into the wheel of the Lancaster, and then what you do is this goes maybe into there. I might be wrong, I don't remember. And then what happens is this red one needs to be buried into the wheel of the Lancaster, and when it's placed down, that will make contact with that, and with this one making contact with that, it completes the circuit. So this can go into your diorama base, and this I guess can go underneath, because this would be plugged in. Yes, this would be plugged in like that. So this would be hidden underneath your diorama base. This would be cut into the diorama base, and yes, it does look ugly, but you remember it's going to be covered by the wheels. So once you place the Lancaster down, they make contact there. So you've got to place the Lancaster in exactly the right position. So contact, power. Someone comes along and lifts the Lancaster up, suddenly all the power will be cut. Right, so let's make sure I remove all of these pieces. Now what's interesting I only have one of these. Why do I only have one of those? Have I dropped one? Let me zoom out, guys, because when I zoom in it makes it really right. I'm now not sure if I had two of these. I did have two of them. Look, there we go. I thought I did. So again, got to read the instructions so that I know exactly how this all goes, but you can see what they are. Anybody really confused by all of this? Anybody looking at this and thinking, I thought that was a good idea, but now I've seen it, I thought it's a bad idea? I don't think it's going to be that difficult. Follow the instructions and deal with things one at a time. Right, so what have we got next? We have got cabin lights, cockpit dorsal gunner, radio nav plus Y3M plus F, 3 nano leads, 40 centimeters, and there you can see lots of cables, and there is the tiny little light bulb. This one is the wing navigation lights. Now these ones you have got to paint a red one for the red light and a green one for the green, but there are navigation lights. And again, there's a tiny little bulb. There's two lights in there. There's one and there's the other. This is the cabin lights for the rear gunner, bomber, fuselage door, Y3M plus F, 3 nano lead, 60 centimeters. There's the bulb there. To be honest with you, a lot of this just looks like cables from here on in. Tail navigation lights, 2 nano leads, 60 centimeters, and it does tell you on the connect to any one, connect to number 11, connect to 0, and then lastly we have got the optional low altitude lights, 2 times 60 WW, 2 times 42. I don't know exactly what that means, but there's a nano bulb there, and there should be another one, I would imagine. Can't find it at the moment. Well, there's 2 sets of plugs, so there should be 2 sets of bulbs. One there, there we go, one there, one there, there and there. So that will be my my lights. This bit I was a little bit surprised at, because but it works absolutely fine. You have only 2 speakers. I was expecting 4 speakers until I saw the instructions, but if you're watching the YouTube video again, you'll see that these operate absolutely perfectly. So these need to be glued in to inside the wing, and look at the size of this speaker. You'll see it does it gives you an idea of the thickness of the wing. These will fit in absolutely fine. These have all been tested on. It's either a Border Models or a Hong Kong version, I can't remember, but you do get an option when you buy it to select Hong Kong or Border Models. No difference in price, but it might be to do with parts that it might go through. Right, so next up you get this UV glue. You actually get this with the kit, which I thought was a really nice touch. They could easily get away with saying you need to go out and buy it. And the way this glue works, I mean, I have got some of this already, and I have got a better black light. So you have your glue. It's a UV resin, and that's all in there. And then once you've applied your glue, it will not stick until it's been set. And the way you set it is with this black light bulb. There we go. Now I do actually have a torch, so thank you Lord Peter Webster. Oh, there we go. That's how you apply the glue. So I do have a little container like this with UV resin that he very kindly sent me, and a black light, but it doesn't lessen the gesture that Magic Scale Modelling has sent this. I'll be honest with you, I probably would have said don't bother sending it if I'd know he was, but you know, these guys have gone, right, this is how they need to attach it. What if they don't have it? Oh, I know, we'll put some in the kit. So I think that's a really nice touch. It does also come with instructions, and there was a page of instructions just on that, including in the instructions. So that is the kit. Now there's one extra thing that they've put in, which I think is an absolutely wonderful touch. I am going to criticise it. I'm going to be accused of criticising it. They've sent me an Archimedes drill. Now this is one of those ones where you don't twist it, you actually just pull the handle down. So if you hold the top or press the top down and push the handle down, can you see how that drills? It's difficult to show you because you can't see it that well. So if I can just find some masking tape, that will demonstrate it very well. They didn't send me any drill bits, and I'll be honest with you, the drill bits I've got don't fit. But again, it's a nice gesture. So look, can you see that as I push that down, it makes the drill spin? That's why you can't see it spin, because it's so quick. But yeah, that's a really nice gesture, I thought. It was a really nice gesture until it just broke. Okay guys, so I don't actually own an Archimedes drill anymore. Not sure what happened there. There we go. So yeah, obviously it's not a top of the range one, but I'm really not complaining because I thought that was a really nice drill. Maybe I can use some of my UV glue and just glue that bit on the back, on the top there. I think maybe that should be a screw thread, really. That will hold better then, won't it? I'm not sure if that collar, I think that collar should have gone in first actually. Yeah, sorry guys. Oh. Yeah, right, there we go, that's fixed that. So it's not very good when your bits break when you're showing them on camera, does it? So that is the lights and sound. So unfortunately no building in this video, but that's fine. There will probably be no building in the next video, because I did mention about the instrument panel. I'm going to show you the packet, but I'm not going to introduce it into the build just yet until next week. I have bought this instrument panel by Airscale, and that is roughly what it should look like when it's done. It should add a nice level of detail. So ignore you've seen it, pretend you haven't seen that, and then I will show you properly next issue. I need to send a few emails out. I need to ask some advice, yeah, so but yeah guys, that is it. So what we need to do now is flick over to the spreadsheet view. So in the last video I told you about how the mic didn't sound. Turns out it was muted, so it should be working fine now. So issue 9 costs. Now the magazine for issue 9 Hachette, obviously $10.99, but this is the big one. I have now spent £258, and there is, you can't see that breakdown, so it's £149 for the motors, an extra £19 for the Airscale light panel, £9 for the Dambusters light. There will be a separate light, it's the altitude light. £19 for the magnet power cable. I decided to go for the power magnet cable just to sort of hopefully there'll be less wires around. £17 shipping, and because people voted Brexit to leave Europe, I now have to pay VAT when I get a delivery from an EU country, which added £45.56 on. Not happy about that, but there you go. I didn't vote that way, but I have to. No, I'm just being political now, aren't I? Ignore all of what I've said political. So that £258, that could be brought down to £149 plus shipping and import taxes, but I did spend the extra 50 quid for various lights. So it is £258.56, and that now brings the cost of the model up to £729.97, compared to £85.91 for the Hachette. We are currently down £644. Now, I did say in the last video that we're still on target to be about £500 ahead, and that is still the case. I've put my projected costs in, and it has included all future costs. Now, the actual issue for Hachette, I liked it. I did like it. It looks nice. You've got some nice different colours. I'm very much colours appeal to me, even if it has to be all the same colour. It's like I like a splash of colour. But this was a very nice little piece. You made a little standalone piece, which, you know, and it's sitting there now ready to be put into the Lancaster whenever it calls for it. But at the same time, it is same as, you know, you build a piece and then you just progress. So I can only give it 1 point, bringing the Hachette up to 13. I've given 2 for the Magic Scale Models set, because it's just pretty awesome. It's a lot of money, but I think you'll find once you start comparing it to the Hachette one, you know, obviously the Hachette motors have been built into the issue cost, whereas the Magic Scale modelling version is all in one chunk. I'd like to bet, and you can record this and hold it for prosperity. I would like to bet that by the time we finish this whole model, the Hachette version, there will be at least 25 issues that involve engines and lights, and in which case we can then say actually this Magic Scale modelling one is cheaper. But it's, you know, it's just how it goes. You know, when you're doing the scale modelling, if this is your first ever part work and you're doing the Hachette Lancaster, you will get issues where you just go, is that it? And you'll get issues where you conveniently forget that you've got a lot more for your money. It's the way the part works go. This is why I'm not overly bothered about buying, spending £258 on one piece when there's like 130 stages. Right, guys, that's it for me. I will catch you next week. Next week is issue 10, and you will be glad to know that I will actually be doing some work. So I hope to catch you then. Take care, guys. Have a great week.